Welcome back to News Talk 830. News Talk 830 WCCO. Forgot the end of that there. I'm Joe Hiti, joined today by the one and only Henry Lake. Today we're going to be breaking down a little Timberwolves Grizzlies pregame, Game 5. Just to start, this is because we got a lot of sports happening in Minnesota. This is kind of new for us. Usually the Timberwolves season is done and then the Twins season starts, it seems. But to catch the Wolves tonight, you can get pregame at 6 p.m. and the tip at 6:30 on WCCO radio. Turn your dial to 830 AM and on the Odyssey app at WCCO2. For the Twins game, you can get it at 6 p.m. pregame, 6:40 first pitch on 102.9 The Wolf and WCCO on the radio app. Now that we got that out of the way, people know where to listen. Let's talk about it. The Timberwolves are coming in. It's a 2-2 series. Mr. Lake, what's the biggest thing that you think the Timberwolves need to do to, wipe out the past 4 games and just focus on this as a 0-0 series, first of 2 wins?
Well, there's a couple of things. First, I think that, and thanks for having me. I think that that there's several people with the team that need to block out the distractions. And I think that the first guy that's going to have to do that is Karl-Anthony Towns. He mentioned post-game after a fabulous game number 4 on Saturday night that he was playing with some added, I guess, extra anger, right? Because I know that Chris Finch talked about him playing angry, and he played extremely motivated. You could tell from the opening tip that Cat was locked in, but he has to remain focused, and he can't continue to listen to all of the outside noise, whether it's Charles Barkley or Shaquille O'Neal or Stephen A. Smith, whoever it may be that's going to be critical. Henry Lake, because I was critical after his Game 3 performance. The bottom line is he has to go out there, make sure that he's productive, because when he's productive, the team is productive and the team wins basketball games. So that's first and foremost. Secondly, Chris Finch at their shoot around earlier was mentioning that Malik Beasley needs to get kind of re-engaged with the team. He needs to get locked in. And I think that his, the added punch that he brings from the bench takes the Wolves a long way. We saw that in game number 1 when he was dialed in. So having a good supporting cast with a guy like Malik Beasley, a guy like Jay McDaniels coming in off the bench is one thing, but also having your star player in Karl-Anthony Towns locked in, that will go a long way for a victory tonight.
It's a great point you bring up. I mean, in both of the victories that Minnesota has in this series, Karl-Anthony Towns has had less than 5 fouls. I mean, in both games that they lost, he's flirting with foul trouble. He's going into the post. He's flailing his arms around. He's trying to get an offensive rebound that's not needed when the Wolves are up 20 and, just taking what some would call stupid calls. But, when he's locked in and he's focusing on his game and getting to his spot, getting his shots up, scoring, I mean, it makes it easier for everybody. Leading into that, with Anthony Edwards, how big is it for Anthony Edwards to have Karl-Anthony Towns going? Because it seems like when Cat's going, Ant is, he has all that focus kind of taken. When Karl-Anthony Towns is, not getting productive, he's not getting shots up, he's not on the floor, and we have to, have Naz Reid come in off the bench and support. Where do you think Ant is in this series, and what do you think he needs to start to do to kind of take that next step? Kind of like we're seeing Ja Morant do right now.
I think that Anthony Edwards has played phenomenal this series. The one game that I was disappointed in was, I would say, he didn't have a good game 2. Game number 3, he had a decent game, but to me, he just didn't take any initiative. So, like, when I look at tonight's basketball game, I don't want this to be the Karl-Anthony Towns I'm looking to take over game. I want this to be a game in which, because we know what Cat's going to do. If Cat gets enough shots up, he's going to score buckets. He's going to go out there and get rebounds. I want this to be a game in which Cat kind of plays a little bit more off of Anthony Edwards, because Anthony Edwards, to me, cannot be in this situation tonight. And we've seen this throughout the season where he kind of, he eases into the basketball game. He lets the game come to him. And to me, tonight's not that night. Tonight is where you force the issue. Tonight is when you get to the lane and you create some foul issues for the Memphis Grizzlies. You get to the free throw line, you take some shots, you be aggressive. That's how I want to see Anthony Edwards play tonight. Anthony Edwards, to me, is the most talented basketball player on this team. Now, is he the most consistent? Not necessarily, But Cat hasn't been consistent lately, right? The only thing that's been consistent about Karl-Anthony Towns lately has been getting in foul trouble the majority of the time. So tonight, you're going to need both players to show up to the party. Who is going to be that third member? Who is going to be the third guy that's going to step up? Is it going to be D'Lo? Is it going to be Jaden? Is it going to be Malik? Will we get some sort of surprise appearance tonight from Taurean Prince off the bench? So it'll be interesting to see how everything comes together. But we know one thing. We know that Memphis is going to be coming out extremely hard and aggressive at the Timberwolves tonight.
Leaving game 3, it feels like the Wolves should be up 3-1 in this series. Leaving game 3, I think everybody was upset. People wanted to, direct their, feeling towards Karl-Anthony Towns for not, producing well enough. I feel like people have been putting up posters of D'Angelo Russell missing posters in their neighborhood, asking if anybody's seen him because he just hasn't seemed to, be himself at all these first 4 games of the series. But I really think some of it has to do with, Coach Chris Finch too, where if you're watching Memphis start going on their runs and they're starting to come back and you see that 20-point lead or that 24-point lead dip to 18, you got to call a timeout. I mean, if you go back and watch that game 3 series, you see, Coach Finch, he's not trying to do a lot from his perspective to stop it. They're keeping the same lineup in there that is, constantly slipping. In an aspect where, you have Coach Finch, he's relatively new in the head coaching position. What do you think he needs to do to make sure that he's putting the best team out there and, helping them be as successful as possible?
I just think just be yourself. Look, I'm a fan of Chris Finch. I think he's a phenomenal coach. We also have to understand that he's a young NBA coach. He's not going to make every single correct call. He's going to make some mistakes. So he's learning on the job as we speak. This is what he was hired in the middle of last season, but this is technically still an extension of his rookie year as a head coach in the league. So, and I'm with you. Like game number 3, when the Grizzlies went on that 21-0 run, he should have called a timeout. But the sign of a good individual, a good human being, a good coach is that they own their mistakes. They step up and they say, you know what, that's my bad. And he did that a couple of days ago. He acknowledged, he says, yes, I put the guys in a bad spot. I tried to get to a place where I didn't have to burn a timeout. That's on me. And to me, that's the step of being a really good coach in the National Basketball Association. He owned that this past weekend, and then they went out and won on Saturday. So I don't have any issues with Coach Finch. I think that as he's learning beyond just the timeout situation, he's really learning too in this playoff format that you got to go with the guys that have the hot hand. And he did that Saturday with Jordan McLaughlin. Like a lot of people would have been like, okay, all right, J-Mac, nice couple of minutes you gave us. Go ahead and have a seat. Nah, Chris Finch was like, no, this dude is getting us buckets. This guy is making the offense flow. So I think the Coach Finch is going to be, I think he'll be fine tonight.
The biggest question I think right now is there going to be another protester tonight? What are they going to, what's the gimmick going to be? Are we going to see an awesome security guard move like we did at the Wolves? If you could,
shout out to Pierre.
It was fantastic. Awesome. He had the split in the chair. It was fantastic. He bolted right through. He had her. Yeah. Players didn't even know what was going on. It was great.
I don't know what to make of this entire situation. I know that Anthony Edwards talked about it on Saturday night when I was there in the press conference, and he said, stop, don't do that. He made a joke about it too, because he was like, hey, y'all do that in Memphis, don't do it in Minnesota. And he's clearly not saying that he wants protesters to come out tonight. That's not what he's saying. People, just calm down a little bit. But the point is that, when you look at all of this stuff, it is concerning. Like I was sitting there, courtside, and I saw what took place, and I'm like, again? And for people out there that are looking at this and thinking about what the hell's in the water in Minnesota, it happened in Memphis too, where the woman tried to chain herself to the. So I don't know, man. I put it like this: Do you think that in Memphis tonight's basketball game is going to be one of the heavily secured places this evening? I think so, and I think when we show up at Target Center on Friday for our game number 6. I think we may see security like we've never seen before at a Timberwolves basketball game.
I think they're going to get those TSA scanners, those body scanners. We're going to have everybody putting their arms up to get into the arena. I think the feeling around the Wolves in the past is they get down in a series, they're not producing well. I personally am scared. I'm thinking, here it goes. They're out. And, that's kind of been the feeling my whole life for Minnesota sports. The Twins, I haven't seen the Twins win a playoff game. The Wild haven't done the best. Hold on one second while my dog is freaking out. But, it feels different with this team. It feels like they're able to erase the fact that they lost a major game that they should have won, and they're able to come back and respond and win a close game nonetheless. Not even one where it's, they're miles ahead. They're able to stick in the whole game throughout the end. So how do you feel about the Timberwolves, going into this 2-2 matchup? Do you think that they're going to come out of this stronger, or do you think if they lose this, they're going to be able to force a game 7, or how do you see the rest of this, this postseason going for them?
If I'm a Minnesotan or Timberwolves basketball fan, I wouldn't be concerned about all the other past history stuff. It just doesn't, like, we're worrying and concerned about stuff that we just have no control over. Like, what happened in the past is what happened in the past. I remember when I was in Kansas City and hosting there, and I got there right when the Royals were starting to get good. And I said to Royals fans, man, embrace this. This is like a lot of fun. And Royals fans were like, you don't know our history. You don't know what's happened to us. And we're not used to this. And I'm like, I'm from Minnesota. Like, don't tell me about, collapses and about being concerned about your team and all that stuff, whatever. But in the midst of it, just embrace it, because if you don't embrace it now, the winning that's taking place, before you know it, your team's going to be really good. Your team could be advancing. And you're like, why was I overly concerned a couple of weeks ago or a couple of years ago when I should have just embraced the winning and the fun times in the midst of the moment? So I'm not really concerned that much about where this is leading and where this is going. This has already been a fun series. And I'm not trying to say that that I'm just going to settle for winning a couple of games. I want this team to win this series. They have an opportunity. It's a 3-game series now. But if they end up losing tonight, no worries. You still got game 6 and coming home on Friday.
That's right. I think that, this has really been a turning point possibly in the franchise. I think we have guys that want to be in Minnesota. They want to play here, a team that has shown that they can be successful and that, they're putting in the work to continue to be successful. We even have new owners now that want to, that want the team to be hyper successful. So I think you're right. It's going to be a fun one tonight. Again, you can catch the Wolves pregame show and the tip off at 6 and 6:30 on WCCO radio. Turn your dial to 830 AM and on the Odyssey app at WCCO2. If you're feeling like baseball, maybe you're a little scared. You feel like if you didn't watch Game 4 and they won, and you want to keep that that mind thing going, where if you don't watch they'll win again, you can always watch the Twins or listen in for the Twins at 6 p.m. First pitch at 6:40 on 102.9 The Wolf and WCCO on the Odyssey app. Henry, is there anything else that you think we need to touch on or anything you've missed? I feel like I'm excited for tonight. I'm ready to watch. I got my my pregame rituals that I'm going to do myself to make sure that they do that works out.
I'm ready. I'm just ready to go. I'm ready. I can't wait. I hope that everybody listens to the game tonight. Even after all the coverage in the game and stuff, stay listening to me on late night as well as my post-game show tonight, Timberwolves Tonight. So I'm looking forward to it, man. Let's go, Timberwolves.
Awesome. Thank you all for joining us on News Talk 830 WCCO. We'll catch you next time.